The bell is ringing for the back-to-school bash at Capital Ford in Santa Fe. Don't be late to add up big factory incentives combined with final dealer subtractions on current inventory. Get back-to-school savings in a new 25 Ford F-150 STX. Buy for $699 a month plus 4.9% APR financing for 72 months. Or a new 25 Ford Bronco Sport. Lease for just $399 a month. It all adds up to a great time to buy during the back-to-school bash at Capital Ford in Santa Fe.
Ladies and gentlemen, from La Casa de los Lobos, the Pit, here at the University of New Mexico, let's get ready to rumble!
Gonna hit you with the triple hey. My name is Ryan Tamori. Hopefully more energy than last Thursday. Welcome to the Pit Press Live. Busy show tonight. In about 10 minutes, he is your new and St. Pius alum. You can't escape him here, Ed. He is your new assistant AD for creative services and digital strategy for Lobo basketball. And he comes from Gonzaga. Matt Vilareal, he worked with the men's team there, so excited to have him on. 8:30. And I'm going to say it as I always do. The one, the only, Kurt Roth. I need to come up with something new. Kurt Roth will join us, and I think he's in Hawaii. So appreciate his time. 9 o'clock, 9:05-ish. Sam Guzman, your sports director at KTSM in El Paso, to talk some UTEP football. And I'm joined by the voice of the Western New Mexico Mustangs and a producer for ProView Networks, play-by-play for ProView Networks, the Lobo fan since 1970. His name is Mr. Ed Nunez. Ed, how you doing?
Well, I am a play-by-play announcer for both Western and ProView, but not a producer. That's my son. But
my bad.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm doing great, Ryan. Good to join you again. And we mentioned this football right around the corner. It's hard to believe it's here. It's going to be here that quick.
I thought 2023 went fast. I thought 2024 went fast, and I thought that this year is flying by. I felt like I was just in Cleveland for the tournament.
It is.
Yeah. The Pit Press Plus, your all-access pass to the Heart and the Hustle of the University of New Mexico Athletic Department. With a monthly or yearly subscription, you'll unlock behind-the-scenes stories you won't hear anywhere else. Whether you're a diehard fan, a stats junkie, or just here for the spicy locker room gossip, the Pit Press Plus has something for you. Subscribe today. Support local sports journalism. James Yodici. Check him out at the Journal. Sean, Jeff. There's a specific reason I called out Yodis there. And remember, Real Lobos don't settle for the sidelines. $2 a month. And I didn't forget Will, James Barone, all the guys at KRQE. Brad Benson, Jared Chester, Chet Stedman, Van Tate. $2 a month or $25 for an entire year. It's August, but we're still running a Father's Day sale. Might as well be a Labor Day sale. $19.95, I think, a month. All Lobo, no filter. Go to the pitpressnm.com. Follow us on socials. Pit Press for exclusive updates, interviews, and behind-the-scenes content. Find us on X and Facebook at the Pit Press NM. I hope I didn't repeat myself. We're on TikTok at the.pit.press. So, hey, feel free to chime in to the show tonight. And if you're a troll, you got to pay the troll toll to get in this boy's hole. That is a reference from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Ed. I'm sorry. I'm making jokes without a context here. I'm trying to liven this show up, and today I saw this online. Happy 5-year anniversary, Tom Brenneman.
I pride myself and think of myself as a man of faith. As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run. And so that'll make it a 4-0 ball game. I don't know if I'm going to be putting on this headset again. I don't know if it's going to be for the Reds. I don't know if it's going to be for my bosses at Fox. I want to apologize for the people.
There you go. Deep fly ball to left field by Castellanos. If you don't know, Google it. I can't, George Carlin here, and that's one word I won't say on here. He got caught in a hot mic very bad.
Looked like that was during the COVID.
It was a 5-year anniversary today. Yeah, it was at Kauffman Stadium. Yeah.
It's hard to believe. I mean, I remember like yesterday when COVID happened, and I got a little story because I was at the Santa Ana Star Center, and that's really before Nick had started working with us. And I remember my son calling me, and he said, "Dad, he had kept an eye on it. Dad, it's spreading. I want you to get out of there." You know, I was at Santa Ana Star Center doing the state tournament, and then the next day or the day after, Richard Tripp and I, another play-by-play guy from ProView, we had to switch in and out to an empty gym, to an empty arena. We call games in an empty arena. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder on that. No. But that reminded me that they wouldn't even let us stay in. I couldn't watch his game. I had to wait outside and then wait till he was out and then go in. Some strange times. And the weird thing was no fan reaction. You just heard the ball bouncing and the kids. That's all you heard, the whistle, you know. So it was one of the strangest times that I've ever covered sports. For sure.
Yeah, I worked for a local TV station, and it was kind of a disaster. All right. So we have a quarterback for the University of New Mexico. Kudos to Sean Ryder, who did break it. And then Pete Thamel of ESPN, like the chicken shit he is, just said sources. I will call it as I sees it. Had I probably been at practice, I probably would have gotten the same information. I did not go Sunday night. I actually wrote a story, and then like a minute later after I published it on our site, he was announced the starter. I mean, there's no real surprise that it is Jack Lane. He's battled some injuries. He's on a pitch count right now, 40 attempts per practice, but he's Luke Sleisner's and the offensive coordinator, and Jason X, I'm sorry, Coach X. Jason X, quarterback. Last year, over 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. He seems pretty confident in himself. I like him a lot. He made a joke with me about calling the big guys up front hogs, so he's in my good graces with that. I thought Lobstein had looked good. You know, I'm not going to harp on the negative. Again, and I have to preface it. I like this coaching staff. I think this year is a growing pain year. He gets this year. I think Coach Eck knows that. I think his staff knows that. We've had Bo Davidson on a lot. I'm very concerned. And if you don't want to listen to me, go listen to Ned James, who coached in the NFL. You can go to our YouTube channel and check that out. I'm very worried about what's about to happen in Michigan. Now, Eck has done less with more. Look at Oregon last year with Idaho. That there's a big glimmer of hope. I think. I'm really interested to see this team next year, because when the conference weakens, I mean, who wouldn't want to see them hoist a conference championship trophy? Anyway, it's Jack Lane. Ed, your thoughts?
Well, the conference championship hasn't happened. That includes in the WAC since 1964. So, there's a lot to unpack there. But I thought we asked Coach Eck that in Las Vegas. I asked him specifically, hey, Jack Lane's your guy. He came from Idaho with you. You trust him. And at that time, that was July. And he said there's going to be a competition. Lobstein, you liked him. I went to the scrimmage last Friday, and Jack Lane threw a nice pass out to Zaid Smith, the wide receiver. And they've got some injuries at wide receiver. So, but he's not going to wow you. I asked Coach Eck about that even before we were in Las Vegas. What's Jack Lane? What's your book on him? Not great speed, can run the RPO. His arm he's in a big one. Ned James alluded to that, but he'll make some plays. And you read the stats before he got hurt. I think he made some plays. And they almost, as you mentioned, almost beat Oregon. Michigan's a taller task, and then they've got UCLA the third game, and in sandwiched in between Idaho. So I think it's someone that Coach Eck trusts. I don't think you were surprised. I wasn't surprised.
No.
I think we all could have called that one. Lobstein better be ready, though, because, again, there's that trust factor. Lane has some experience, albeit in the FCS, but they did play some D1 teams. They had Oregon on the ropes. They really did. So no surprise there. I think it's good. You got to name your quarterback. You got to know who your leader is out there, and it's 2 weeks, and I think most of the team probably figured it was going to be Jack Lane. So no surprise there. And I think Lobstein, I think he will play. I think Lobstein will play. And then Ned James had mentioned Wilder, the freshman, has got Wilder. He's got a big arm, but no experience. So I think we what do we see? Devin Dampier took most of the snaps. Almost, I'm trying to think. And then they had that quarterback, running back from BYU, took some snaps in the Wildcat, and he's not with the Lobos anymore. He actually had some success on a couple snaps, but Dampier took 90% of the snaps last year. So it's going to be interesting. But the receiver room, and you can get to that later, they've got some injuries there, so I'm a little concerned there. But hopefully by game time, everybody's going to be ready to go.
I think the one thing I wanted to stress is, I'm not diminishing UNM, but this isn't Keelan Russell, Austin Mack, and Ty Simpson. Those are the three guys, and it's probably going to be Ty Simpson that are vying for the spot at Alabama. I mean, it's still pertinent here. I just don't want the rails to fall off this thing rather quick. So, this schedule is brutal. I do not want to make our next guest wait. I am happy he is joining us. For the viewers and the listeners, you just can't keep St. Pius grads away from the show. He's the new assistant AD for creative services and digital strategy for Lobo basketball. His name is Matt Vilareal. Matt, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. It's good to see you, Ed and Ryan. Ryan, I told myself I was gonna say, so Ryan and I, we met last year at WCC Mountain West Media Day, and he said he invited me on the show then, and obviously it didn't happen last year. So I told myself this offseason, gosh, I guess I just have to leave my job at Gonzaga and go work at UNM to finally get on the pit press.
I appreciate you for that. And so here's a story. There's a guy who's the executive director of the Arizona Bowl, which was the Barstool Arizona Bowl, now the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, presented by Gin and Juice. I forgot his name, and I hope he's not watching, definitely, thank God. He's a funny dude. Jeff Simeota knows him well. And every year I'm at football media days, and for 3 years in a row I've struck out. I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna have you on, and I forgot. So Matt, I thought about you during the basketball season, and I was like, we were busy too. So I'm glad you're on, man. How's UNM treating you?
Oh, it's great. I just am starting week 3 here. Gosh, it's like drinking from a fire hose right now. It's kind of crazy and overwhelming at times, but it's amazing. It's amazing to be home. It's amazing to be around family, but then also obviously be in and around an awesome, dynamic, innovative group of coworkers and leadership at UNM. And yeah, so it's been awesome and it's been great. obviously it's a lot, but amazing at the same time.
I'm going to sound like an idiot, and some of the interviews I do prep for and some of them I don't, but because I know you, where did you go to college?
I went to Oklahoma State University. So I graduated from Pius in 2015 and then went to Stillwater, Oklahoma from there. So I was at Oklahoma State from 2015 to 19 and then got the Gonzaga job right after I graduated. I studied sports media at Oklahoma State. There's a major in that at Oklahoma State, and that's what drew me there, and I ended up going there and started working in this line of work.
I'm going to put you under the gun. What is Mike got? There's a pun. What does Oklahoma State do this year for football?
This year, I was literally just listening to a podcast for the first time in a really long, like an Oklahoma State podcast for the first time in a while, because literally tonight I'm planning on lining up our New Mexico bye week with a home game over there in Stillwater. To be honest, I have no idea what they're going to do with football right now, because I was following really heavily literally up until last year. They had like a famous 7-year quarterback named Alan Bowman. He was in college when I was in college. And so I was really following the team, and we had a really great running back who left the team last year. And ever since kind of that wave kind of left, I was not following this offseason, sadly. Bad fan. But I'm definitely going to try to lock in here now, see what's going on over there. I think the over under win total is 5.5, which is the lowest I've known it to be in a long time. So I don't know, but they always do really well when they're underdogs. So, so anyway.
Alan Bowman had an interception problem, but I'm a Gundy guy, man. So I'm always, not that I have any ties. I would like to go to Boone Pickens State, or is it Boone Pickens Stadium? I'd love to see a game there. So that is very cool. I did not know you were an OSU grad. That gets even better. Mm-hmm. How did you end up at Gonzaga?
So crazy story, crazy small world. Long story and short story to it. The short story is there was an assistant coach at Oklahoma State my junior year. He was at Oklahoma State my junior year. He was only there for a single year. His name was Stephen Gentry, assistant coach for Brad Underwood at Oklahoma State. After my junior year, he got a job at Gonzaga, which is his alma mater. And so my senior year, he was at Gonzaga. And so while I was, a senior looking for a job, I was in my boss's office, literally randomly. I think Gonzaga had just played Duke in a crazy Maui Invitational game the weekend before. And I literally just brought up that Gonzaga Duke game was crazy, right? To my boss. And my boss just responds with yeah, that was. Actually, this assistant coach at Gonzaga called me the other day looking for a creative guy, and gosh, that I should have told him you. I'm gonna call him back and try to set something up with you guys. And that's basically how the first connection was made, and the interview process started from there. So midway through my senior year. But there's so many random things. Literally, if I didn't just say that one day in my boss's office, just it wasn't I was just hanging out in there and made that comment, made it, and now somehow ended up there from that. So crazy story too of how I even just got involved with that boss. He was the sports information director at Oklahoma State for men's basketball at Oklahoma State. I never worked a single thing men's basketball wise until the summer before my senior year in college. I was the equestrian videographer. I worked with baseball, softball, tennis, all the kind of Olympic sports at Oklahoma State. And then I got a call out of the blue, the creative who was supposed to go on the men's basketball Europe trip the summer before my senior year, quit his job, a couple days, a week before that trip. So they were scrambling, and they ended up sending me, and that was my first ever men's basketball experience at all. So that's how I even got close with that boss in the first place. So I got to go to Venice, Rome, and Athens with our men's basketball program there at Oklahoma State. And that kind of started the men's basketball relationship with me my senior year, and then from there kind of ended up at Gonzaga. So pretty crazy confluence of events for sure.
Matt, talk a little bit about your experience, creative and digital marketing, right? And for a lot of people that don't, they don't know exactly what that is. Tell us a little bit about that and, your responsibilities at Oklahoma State and then Gonzaga and coming over here to the University of New Mexico.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's really evolved. Like, it's an industry that is really in its infancy. When you think of even just the social media world, when it comes to team social media pages and whatnot, I guess boiling it down, like, our jobs are to tell the story of the program. And it's really you do that in certain ways. At Gonzaga, it was very aligned with doing that with recruits. So telling the story of the program to recruits and in a way that they find engaging, and in the way they will be able to take it and run with it and eventually choose Gonzaga. And it's a similar vibe here in New Mexico too. So so much of it is how do teams want to portray themselves across all digital spaces? So whether that is social media, whether that's behind closed doors, not non-public pieces of content that our coaches send directly to them that's meant only for them, personalized graphics and videos that really kind of help the recruiting process for coaches to keep that line of communication always open. And that's at Gonzaga, I was really aligned with the coaching staff's recruiting situation there, just making a ton of personalized pieces of content. But yeah, I mean, really right now it's especially at UNM, it's very much how do we tell our story more broadly? How do we get it out there, on all our social channels, on all our digital channels, to be able to build our brand nationally, and especially in this new age of college athletics, when there's so many stakeholders and reasons to get your name out there and to generate revenue and all that. I mean, it's an industry that's in its infancy, but it's absolutely paramount to success in this new world of college athletics.
Yeah, it's a whole different way, as you mentioned, of getting information out. And I think of the movie Blue Chips, Ricky Rowe and Dion Badeau, and Ricky Rowe wants a tractor and Dion Badeau wants got the car. He didn't even want it, but it's way different now. And so the message being the most important thing, and you're just new here, along with Ryan Berryman came back, Fernando Lovo. You're working with a bunch of young, hungry people, man. In the office, and I think that's good. You're young too. Mm-hmm. What's the vibe been like? You've only been here a little bit. Mm-hmm. What kind of vibe are you getting there working with this young team of professionals that are trying to raise the bar every day? What kind of vibe you've been getting?
Absolutely. And that's a huge, that's honestly the biggest reason why I came. Obviously being home is a plus, being in the hometown, being near families, an awesome benefit. But it was the athletic administration, the current setup of these administrators, these leaders, these really innovative, but gosh, like you said, hungry, knowledgeable individuals that so many of them were successful elsewhere, and now they are coming here to build. Fernando Lobo, for sure. My boss, Casey Byers, he's a senior associate AD of external. He's just fresh out. He's 3 months here, and he came from the University of Washington football, where he was a creative director for the Washington football program, the team that just played for a national championship 2 years ago now. And it's very rare that you see that's how when I say our industry is in its infancy, you rarely see creatives in senior associate AD level positions. And that's the case here. And that's we have to be one of the only schools in the country with that setup. And the message has just been totally clear, from Fernando on down, this, the creative world, the digital world, the social world is of the utmost importance. And that's where we're going to invest. That's what we believe in. That's what we're going to make decisions based on a lot of this stuff of getting our name out there, building our brand. Because we like, you know, at the end of the day, like it's all about bringing in revenue and building and cultivating a brand to get it in front of fans and supporters that are there, that we want to help them. We want to bring the story to them, and obviously like kind of build that symbiotic relationship. So so it's been awesome. And the administration like definitely is probably the chief reason why I came.
I think one more question for you, and then I'll turn it back over to Ryan. But I think having Fernando there, he's got new ideas for the football program. And, the pit is the pit, and people are going to, they're going to come. If the 3 straight winning seasons, 3 straight 20-win seasons with Coach Pitino, have you had a chance to talk? Coach Olin is a whole different guy, man. And you played for Damian Segura, Damian, man, and I love Damian, right? I do. Yeah. That's a type A guy, right? Yeah. He's going to run about 20,000 sets from the, Travis Julian said one time he had about 102 sets. Now, Coach Olin's a different. That's not a knock on Coach. I love Coach, but Coach Olin's a different guy, right? Different guy. If you had a chance to talk to him, what's been your initial impression?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, he's been awesome. Like everybody I talked to before meeting him says like, he's just the chillest, like most laid back head coach that they've ever met. And like, that's been my experience for sure. Like, I've had a couple of conversations with him now, obviously looking forward to like working with him more in the day-to-day here as the season and practices get going and whatnot. But gosh, he's awesome. And like, hardly talked about like work or basketball. It was just all about like, hey, how are you adjusting to Albuquerque? Like, he asked me a bunch of questions about my upbringing and all that. So like, just awesome dude who you can tell like values relationships, values more than, just what goes on like the basketball court, just personally at least. And yeah, I'm really excited. What's been really awesome, the reception when I told like coworkers at Gonzaga that like I was taking this job, like they all like would raise their eyebrows and say like, that is a really good coach. Like that is a great young coach and hungry. And that's going to be a great situation. So like, he's really well respected in the industry, and I'm really excited to work with him.
Noble fans will love to hear that. Go ahead, Ryan.
All right. I got to ask you about, as I keep myself on mute, the time at Gonzaga. First, I'll ask you about Mark Few. What kind of coach is he?
Oh man. He's a legend.
He's this little guy. Like when I saw him, he's this little guy, and I'm like, man, he just Napoleon complex, just dominating the world.
He's a legend, and like there's story after story about him. But gosh, yeah, he's very like there's not another guy like him. And I think, gosh, like when I tell people about the success, like people will ask like, what's this, like, how did Gonzaga happen? Like, how is the success there? Literally, it's you had a coach that was generationally successful, that never left, that like was so secure in who he is as a coach and who he is as a person, that like he never really like gets swayed by like, too much success, or like he knows who he is. He knows what he likes to do. He loves to go fish. Like if he's not like that, when he's like not during the season, he's, out fishing somewhere type thing. And like, gosh, like just learned so much about like being authentic and being who you are, being around him, and really knowing that like there's probably never going to be another story like him that like was at like a mid-major, that just experienced literally 2 decades of success, had every offer he could have to leave, and he never did. And like that's, I don't know of another story of that happening again, if that ever happened before. But that's the story we got to tell at Gonzaga constantly. Like, and that's kind of what we always came back to. And working with him, one of my literally like favorite, like one of the most rewarding conversations of my entire career was just when I told him I was leaving. He like, put his arm around me and said like, be like, keep developing yourself personally, keep your faith, keep doing what you're doing. You're amazing. Like hearing him say like nice things about me, I was just like, holy crap. Like this is like the coolest he's he's the kind of guy that you might not get that conversation from him very often, but when you do, you're like, dang, like, yeah, I don't know. So he's another awesome guy. He values relationships and like everything, like basketball, you can tell like doesn't like, rule him. He has so many other hobbies and personalities, traits and stuff that are just like, he's just like a normal guy. So yeah, it was awesome to work with him.
Were you in Indianapolis during 2021?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I gotta ask you about the shot.
that was crazy because like, so we were in a bubble and like, this was like 3 weeks. And this was, I mean, gosh, we literally, yeah, stories of the bubble were crazy. Cause like, we were like the overall #1 seed, undefeated. Like, the way like they were talking to us, like prepping us for the bubble, it's like, all right, you're going for 3 weeks, like be prepared for like 3 weeks of the bubble. And like, there are just so many, like, if you go out this wrong door, you're out and you can't come back. Anyway, it was just like a crazy 3 weeks. The actual game and shot, like, it kind of added to it because like in Lucas Oil Stadium, like there were no fans like near the court. They were all up top and they were all spread out. So like when Jalen comes up and hits the shot, actually, like, funny creative story here, like, so that happened in overtime. At the end of regulation, there was like a stoppage in play, and like kind of creatively, when there's any time there's going to be a buzzer beater, like I try to get up on like one knee to be able to pop up and run somewhere with the camera if I need to. And there was that stoppage. And if you see the replay, like at the end of regulation, there was a half court shot and I was like on one knee ready to go. Anyway, at the end of overtime, there wasn't a stoppage. And I was like totally banking on there being one because like we got the rebound or something. And like, I thought we were going to call a timeout, but anyway, like we didn't, and he kept dribbling. And like the whole time he was dribbling, I was like, he's going to freaking make this shot and I'm not going to be ready. And it's going to be like literally I was having these thoughts like in a 3-second span. I'm like, that's literally going to go in and I'm not ready at all. And anyway, like it was like the slowest thing for me. And then like, because the fans were so far away, like the shot went in and like it was like almost like a second or two of just like dead silence because like it was just such a weird like situation. It was just like it felt like people on the floor experienced that moment like a split second before the rest of the world did because the rest of the world was just so far away. Anyway, like it goes in and then like I have to like the shot, like I have to like shake and everything getting up and I run over and get a bunch of really awesome shots and stuff. But definitely one of like the coolest experiences. Like that definitely is the coolest experience of my career. Like the shot going in, like getting like everyone's reaction after. I felt that was like the only time in my life I felt like a D1 athlete or something, because like I got as soon as I saw my phone, I got texts from like random like college friends or high school friends saying like, oh my gosh, like, and I just had like a bunch of like texts because like, yeah, I don't know, being in that moment, it was just so surreal, and it was just such a big epic like thing that like, and then no one who was a part of that, like that's the thing, because we ended up losing the national championship game like 36 hours later, but like anyone who was a part of that was not sleeping that night, like just because of the pure adrenaline. So like you don't sleep, then you like have practice and media the next day, and then it's a national championship the day after that, so no one sleeps because it's a national championship. So anyway, we ended up losing in the national championship game, but like it was definitely, anyone who was present, anyone who was there or a part of it was probably like the best sports experience of their career for sure.
Matt, I appreciate you telling the story, and I definitely do want to have you back on with us during the season. Our next guest, and I'm sure you know him, is Kurt Roth, and I don't want to keep him waiting, and it's no disrespect to you, but he is the new, and I'm glad I was able to ask you about the Jalen Suggs shot, because for me as a big sports nerd, I knew where I was and when it happened, and it's like one of the big sports moments I actually watched on my phone, and I was like, I was with guys that weren't. I was out at a bar, and I was the only one watching the game, and when it happened, I was like, holy hell. So I will ask you about it again in person. I purposely saved that for the show. He is the new assistant AD for creative services and digital strategy for Lobo basketball. Follow him, and I would imagine follow the basketball page on Twitter. His name's Matt Vilareal. Matt, thanks so much for joining us, man.
Yep, no problem. Be nice to my guy, Kurt.
He's the man. I love him. That's why he's coming on the show again. All right, that was Matt Vilareal, and we're going to keep the train going. And I think he's on vacation, so he's probably going to be a little upset that we're running late. All right, I got to come up with something original, but he's the man, the myth, the legend.
Oh.
You in Hawaii?
No, I was in Hawaii last week. I'm in Scottsdale on a golf trip where I'm about to get. I've been taught, retaught. What do you call it? Dominoes, and I think I'm about to get hustled. So this was a good break. Get somebody saying this is real easy. Let's get to the real interesting part, or let's make it a little interesting. So no, I'm finishing up a vacation a couple of weeks before we go wild at UNM.
Yeah, you get older and you forget. And I sent my friend a text jokingly yesterday. I was like, "Hey, happy first day of semester, brother!" Like joking. I wasn't in a frat or anything, but I was fucking with him. But anyway, we are now back to school. I thought I would ask you about that. The semester starts. We're less than 2 weeks away from the Michigan game, and then other stuff started. But I just wanted your thoughts on that.
No, it's exciting. And for me, it's real. We just came off Saturday night. I was in town and we had a record-breaking cherry silver event, which for those who don't know what that is, it's basically the athletic department's gala, auctions, dinner, cocktail hour. It's a real fun kind of thing. They do a real good job with it. Jalen Dominguez and his crew. And this year, it was really, not only they set the money record, but the enthusiasm in this administration. And Matt, you see, Matt is just another example of a local kid, local guys, young guys who are grateful to be, he just told you that story about Gonzaga in the semifinals. And he comes back to New Mexico. And Jalen Dominguez, Ryan Berryman, you've got Amy Began up there, star player at UNM. And they're all, in my worldview, they're kids. None of them are 40 years old. Or if they are, they're 40. And the enthusiasm over on campus and the organization and the drive is just is emotionally contagious. So now, of course, opening, whatever you want to call it, whether it's baseball, football, you get to opening day and there's all optimism. But there's a real palpable sense of optimism at UNM. And yeah, like you said, I wish we were playing at Boston College instead of at Michigan. But it's really an exciting time. I think it's going to be a really fun next couple of months.
I think we've had you on, but I can't stress enough. I've told you this. I approach the show objectively. But man, I haven't met anybody on a coaching staff like Eck. I love the associate head coach and the special teams guy, Daniel DePrato. He's the best. The defensive coordinator, Spence Nowinski, seems like a defensive coordinator. What do you like about this coaching staff?
I mean, it's really super positive. They're just interesting characters other than football. Bronco, who I really, really admired, I really enjoyed working with, was a different kind of guy. Eck, I mean, he did a takeoff on The Office, and he crushed it. That's not, and that attitude, that positivity, that friendly, open kind of, and I hate to use down to earth, but sort of exciting kind of attitude is really different. You don't see that in a lot of staffs. I mean, it's not unique to X staff, but it's not that common. And it's really been. I've been been out. I've seen you at practice. I've been out there quite a few times, and I'm just excited. X such a good guy, and and it's great that he's going up the ladder. And here he is at UNM. Like he said, he bought a house. The last guy rented. So I don't know. I'm just excited. And my big thing is because I have much more hands on is UNM basketball, and the summer was great with this team is going to be really good. So I caught some of the women's soccer game the other night. School's back in. Stuff's really cool. It's an exciting time.
You mentioned Kurt, a lot of reason for optimism and new leadership and young, I call them kids too. Ryan's Ryan always says how old he is, and he's not 40 yet, so he's still a kid.
Getting close.
My son is 33. He's definitely still a kid. So,
Definitely.
but I like the way you described that, because I think young kids, they're young people that are working there, are striving to compete. They're hungry. Every day, how can we make this better? And I think that makes the whole operation better at the university. So I think there's definitely reason for optimism. A couple of questions for you. Jack Lane named the quarterback on Sunday by Coach Eck. Any surprise there for you?
No, not at all. I think the only issue was coming from the spring. Was he healthy? Was he going to be able to get reps and be ready? He was ex-quarterback last year. He's ex-guy. He came with him. So I think it would be odd to not see him at least get that chance as the starter. I anticipated it only after he came back in the summer and could throw the ball. They shut him down in the spring. So no, I kind of was ready for it. I really liked the kid. You see him hanging around, he's got a football in his hands. He's good-looking kid with his wave of blonde, the light brown hair. He looks like Friday Night Lights. So I think he's perfect for the role. I think he's going to do a really good job.
He looks the part then.
He looks the part.
That's Friday Night's Live with Billy Bob Thornton, man. Gosh. Man, let's talk about football, Texas football, right?
There you go.
Every time I see it, Billy Bob Thornton, he almost killed him. Oh, man. Anyway, back to the Lobos. Is there any unit? Okay, so, the receiving room is a little bit banged up. They've, their number one receiver hasn't been able to play very much. Keegan Johnson has had a hamstring. They've got some other receivers banged up a little bit. Isaiah Blair, Cater Diop, they've got. Does that concern you at all?
Yeah.
Hopefully we better, by Michigan August 30th. But is there any concern there?
Yeah, that's concern. I mean, obviously, with the level of that UNM plays at, and in a clearly a building era in the portal, in the world of the portal, depth is always going to be a problem at UNM. It's just going to happen. You're not going to have 100 deep that can come in and fill in. The top three wide receivers are all dinged. So that is concerning. But this year it's probably less concerning than it would be in the past because we have an incredible backfield. We should have a great running game. The offensive line looks pretty stable. And I think I don't want to step out on our SID, Frankie M, but I believe that we're the only team in the country that has 4 running backs that led their team in rushing last year. And so what we're banged up in the receiving corps, which is a concern, I think our running game is going to be something we haven't seen in a while. And, reminiscent of some offenses we saw in the past where we control the ball on the ground.
He likes to trick them up a little bit, too. He's mentioned, he likes to run some trick plays. And
he loves trick plays.
One of the coaches in the conference said he's real good with formations, too. So I think But I got to ask you this. You've been around UNM almost as long as me. We haven't seen the Lobo football team establish solid footing really since Coach Long left. What's your reason? The new AD, new coach, new people around here. Fernando Lobo is, new video board. We know the stadium needs some more work. He's going to let kids in free. What's your reason for optimism for this year? It might be a tough year this year with Coach Eck, tough schedule. First year, new roster, new program, new system. But what's your reason for optimism for Coach Eck and the football program?
Well, I really feel comfortable with Coach Eck. Right from the get-go, I was asked by brand new attorney, AD Fern Lovo from the start. Right when he came on, he was here 4 days and he needed to hire a coach. And I was asked and kind of honored to be part of the committee that actually traveled to interview coaches. And the last one we interviewed on site was Coach Eck in his house 2 days before they were playing in a playoff game. And we did it in basically his basement, his man cave. And I loved the interview. He did well, but you could tell. I thought that was Fern Lovo's guy. He had narrowed it down to 3 candidates, but I think Fern Lovo wanted it to be Eck, and in that room, you knew it was. So that was kind of a cool thing for me to be there and to feel it. Now, he didn't say you're hired on that spot, but I believed he was hired when we left the house. And it was really wild. The energy was good. His wife, Kimberly, is great. She was down as part of the whole interview. The guy's paid his dues. He's had 21 different college jobs. And I'm just excited. He's just such a good dude that I'm excited for him. Obviously, he can coach. You saw what happened at his last job. They got better every year. So it's, opening day is right around the corner. So I'm optimistic. I just have a good feeling.
Yeah. He wants to be here too. And I think the other thing, nothing against Coach Mendenhall, you like working with him. Coach Eck is selling the program. He's out in the community, a totally different personality than Coach Mendenhall. And again, Coach Mendenhall is a fine football coach. There's no doubt about it, but more guarded, more close to the vest than Coach Eck is. Coach Eck is not showing all his cards either. But I just think it's a totally different approach as far as promoting the program. And I like what Coach Eck has done so far. Ryan.
I think what I was going to ask you is, compared to January at the end of December and January and March, is there kind of a sense of relief, amongst you and those in the athletic department, being that there was a lot of uncertainty about 7-8 months ago?
I think it's funny. That's really a good question, Ryan. For me, there isn't as big a sense of relief as there is in the department. One, I'm twice as old as most of those guys. I've been around UNM this is year 53. And I saw the transition when especially, and listen, I don't want to downplay. There was some really cool things that happened last year with Bronco, and the enthusiasm was there, and you could feel it coming. Didn't work out for whatever reason, but with Richard Pitino and UNM basketball, it grew, and we were a part of it, and it grew each year, and it got to a point that it was really, really good. Now the new era. Overnight, everybody's gone. I knew that with the hiring of Fern, the return of Berryman, Jalen Dominguez, Amy begging in compliance, watching me, whatever I ate for lunch, she was making sure it was compliant with the NCAA, that they were in good hands. Now, they were they were stressed, and as young people in a high pressure job in their career would be. I just knew when we were interviewing after Eck was hired, and then we're interviewing months later, we're interviewing basketball coaches and the other coaches who were calling me trying to get interviews just confirmed what I felt, that we were in a good program with no, like in basketball, no coaching staff, no players. UNM was back in the discussion, and it was that level that we had gotten to, that we had achieved in the last couple of years, that made me optimistic that the next regime would be high powered and talented. And so far in football and basketball, I'm blown away by where we are, by the staffs. In men's basketball, I'm super optimistic about how good this team can be.
Wow.
So, the other thing I've neglected to say is, you want a sleeper team at UNM, is Coach Bradbury's squad. They could be really, really good. You have to remember, he lost his best player last year before the season started. She's back, and he recruited down at a Hobbs at JC, the top guard in junior college. So his team is going to be good. So there's this whole, I feel, just a big sense of optimism. And I think you get that positive energy when you're around this athletic department and the staff. And guys like Matt comes, he's telling you about Gonzaga in the national semifinals, and he leaves to come back to New Mexico. I mean, that's awesome.
And I'm on mute. I was reading, us Pius, like I was saying, you just can't avoid us St. Pius guys. I was reading his press release on Go Lobos, and it was like 4 Sweet 16s and 2 Elite 8s and a final. I was like, yeah, man, damn. Like, I can't accomplish that. Could you, speaking of basketball, could you elaborate maybe more? Because you had said you've said it here, and you've told me off the record, you're very optimistic about this basketball team. So I don't know what you can say or what you can't say, but I guess the Kurt Roth answer, which I know I would love to hear, and Eric's watching, so he'd love to hear that answer, and Ed as well. What your thoughts are on the basketball team?
The thoughts?
Yeah.
I think
I don't even think I finished my question there. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I was excited for it. It just didn't happen. My thoughts are that the team can listen. It's again, the whole portal thing, these constant roster changes go throughout basketball, and teams that are picked in the top, hey, last year, I think UCLA was picked in the top 10, and we manhandled them on a neutral court last year. So you never know how, and then UCLA was good by the end of the year. Obviously chemistry, how does it work? How will the team develop? From what I've seen, it's already good. Matt spoke about his colleagues talking about Coach Olin. I had 2 agents when he was hired who had represented players at UNM and elsewhere that I dealt with, who told me he was the best hire, 2 separate agents, the best hire in college basketball, and Virginia or North Carolina State made a mistake in not going to get him. He's completely different than a Richard Pitino, understated. When you're in the room with him for 10 minutes that he's smarter than you are. It's kind of humbling. He's a modern day basketball coach who stayed, you were talking about Few and staying out in Gonzaga. Well, this dude's been in San Diego since he was graduated college, his whole career. So he's stable. He stayed there. He's a great family man. The staff is young and excited to be here. These guys are, you hear the assistants talk about they can't wait to walk down the ramp. They can't wait to walk down the ramp for a game. But the talent, all right, I'll get to it. The talent, I think, and without getting into it, I think today I could tell you who four of the five starters are, and then I would tell you that for the fifth starter position, there's four top-notch guys competing. And I think I'll come out and say it right now. The overall depth of this year's team, I think, is better than last year's team. It's that basic.
I'm sure
Overall, I don't think that Dayton Albury is going to be as explosive and as dynamic as Donnie Dent, but could he be first team All Mountain West? Yeah, he could. And now we've got a guy at center who's played 68 pro games. So
that helps.
That helps. The big question with Tomislav is if they let him play his European game, or they foul him out in the first half. And I'm not saying he's overly aggressive. He's so physically strong. Guys just kind of wind up on the floor when they go near him. So I'm really obviously, I have cherry colored glasses on all the time, but I love this team.
Ed, do you have any other questions?
No, you know what? That's that's good to hear. It's early. They got to they're practicing right against each other. We won't know till they play against an opponent. But I respect your opinion of what you've seen, and it's exciting, especially to hear about the physicality and guys bouncing off of him, Buljan, right?
Buljan,
yeah.
Great kid, great, and we also have a different factor that we didn't have last year. We have 4 or 5 mature adults, maybe 6, who will be playing regularly. 4th, 5th year, 2 or 3 pro. Like Chris Howell was at St. Mary's. He played for Olin at San Diego. He's here. Guys he's like a coach on the court. Albury's in his 5th year, basically. Buljan's played in the pros. Our other dude, and Antonio Chol, Rutgers, Garden City, now New Mexico. Great kid, hysterically funny. I wish I could describe. I know I'm going on, but I had a dinner where I sat with Chol on my left and Albury on my right. And apparently Chol has studied the film of every Lobo game for the last 2 years. And I asked Albury what it would be like going to Utah State to play and his old gym. And the Chol just did this. Every time you touch the ball, he did the whole student section. Boo! And when you pass it, it'll get quiet. And then when you come off the bench, boo! And Albury just stood there and stared at him. And Chol's it was great. So anyway, I'm going to stop. I'm very excited about men's basketball.
Well, you heard it there from somebody very important and very close to the program. Kurt, I know we're going to be doing a lot more of this, so I know you're on vacation, but I was trying to get you on as soon as we could. I always appreciate your time, and I love talking to you.
Well, I was thinking about you today. I just got a real good report out of New Jersey about the boys of Maritech, my beloved Giants, are ready to make another move this year.
That's very well. It's funny when you mentioned Rutgers. I almost said the Knights of the Raritan. So that's my dad got his master's there. So I'm a New Mexican. I like to call myself a New Jerseyite, but my friends would tell me to shut up because I am from New Mexico. But anyway,
well, you can be in multiple locales,
Yeah, that's very true. Well, Kurt, I think I'll bug you next week if you want to join us before Michigan.
Oh, yeah. Well, next week we've got to get into the big house. So we'll be ready for that. I'm looking forward to that. I'll be back. We'll have a couple of practices under our belt, and we'll talk next week about going into Ann Arbor and shocking the world.
Well, we appreciate your time tonight. Thank you very much. Enjoy Scottsdale. Don't get I can't even think of the word. Just don't get hustled too hard on Domino's.
Yeah, I know. The guys are. I don't want to be. He's a known booster. I don't want to put his name out there, but I can feel it already. Oh, that's a good play. You're good at this game. Let's make it interesting. That's coming next. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Kurt.
We'll talk to you later. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break.
Later.
Kurt Roth, founder of 505 Sports Venture Foundation, going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with Sam Guzman from down in Sun City. Oh, I'm going to let Ed finish up. Sorry, Ed.
No, Ryan, no problem. I've got nothing at all. Just thanks a lot. I think it was good talk from Kurt, and that'll excite Lobo fans. He's seen them out in action, so looking forward to it.
Yep. Appreciate you joining me as always, Ed.
You bet.
Going to take a quick commercial break. Be back with Sam Guzman down in Sun City, El Paso, to talk about UTEP football. My name's Ryan Tamori. This is the Pit Press Live.
The bell is ringing for the Back to School Bash at Capitol Ford in Santa Fe. Don't be late to add up big factory incentives combined with final dealer subtractions on current inventory. Get back to school savings in a new 25 Ford F-150 STX. Buy for $699 a month plus 4.9% APR financing for 72 months. Or a new 25 Ford Bronco Sport. Lease for just $399 a month. It all adds up to a great time to buy during the Back to School Bash at Capitol Ford in Santa Fe.
All right, I'm flying solo for the next, 20 minutes. Welcome back to the Pit Press Live. I'm everybody's favorite Lobo fan, even though I'm not a Lobo fan. Ryan Tamori. There's no troll tonight, so nobody has to pay the troll toll to get in the boys' hole. Does anybody watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? I guess not. Appreciate to Matt Vilareal, Kurt Roth, Ed Nunez, as always, joining me. I'll let you know probably what we're doing on Thursday night at the end of the show. I don't want to keep our next guest waiting, and I got him on time, damn it. I was more proud of myself there, Sam, for getting you in on time. And I think you're on mute. You might have to unmute.
What about now? Sorry.
Perfect. No, you're good. He is, now I forgot my train of thought. That's not your fault. That's mine because I'm getting.
That was a really smooth transition. I was surprised. I was like, wow.
You would never know I was a newspaper guy. Well, he is the sports director down at KTSM. I almost said KVIA. KTSM down in Las Cruces. Yeah, that's the enemy. In Las Cruces. Sam Guzman. Sam, how you doing tonight, man?
Good, Ryan. Thanks for having me on, man. It's 9:00, but this is like the prime hours for me, so I'm ready to rock and roll. Thanks for having me on, Ryan.
Yeah, well, I sling computers and printers during the day because I was a newspaper guy. So anyway, then I started this company, and I still have the day job that pays all the bills. Anyway, man, I'm gonna start. I just feel like UTEP football. I've the Sun Bowl's on the list, not the stadium itself, and then the game. I've always wanted to do that. I'm not just pulling that out of my ass. I am really, I've always wanted to go down there, and next year, depending on where the game is, I might be heading down there. And And let me do that. Perfect. I just feel like there's, Scotty Walden has brought like a kind of new energy. The record last year wasn't the best, but I caught UTEP a couple times and they played fantastic. I mean, what is the outlook? And I'll get to the quarterback and Malachi Nelson, but what is the outlook for UTEP football?
Yeah, really exciting squad that they've got on their hands this year. And like you mentioned, Walden, I've never seen a head coach like Scotty Walden before. During my time covering college football, I know there's probably some guys that might replicate it or, there's been a ton of college football coaches in the history of the game. And I'm sure Walden is just one of the more energetic ones. But at least here in El Paso, I don't remember a head football coach of the UTEP Miners that has had the energy, the youthfulness, and everything that he brings here for the Miners. And I think it was when they hired Coach Walden, it was definitely a different direction that UTEP decided to go in, knowing the previous head coaches that were leading this program. But I think you saw a lot of it last year. He really did a lot of building up to the season, a lot of media, really great guy, really energetic. Unfortunately for him, the record didn't really replicate everything as they went 3-9. But they had a good, first season. They were 14 points away from getting to that 6-win mark in their first year of the era of Scotty Walden. So I think he's got a good squad on his hands now. But the big question surrounding this program right now is who's going to play quarterback. So I think you need a pretty good quarterback in order to go far. I think UTEP tops what they did last year as far as getting the 6 wins. I'm not too sure yet. It's still preseason, but that's why we talk about this, right?
This is why we talk about it. You're talking to a New York Football Giants fan. I saw I saw a defensive line win a Super Bowl in the last 20 years. The QB battle, though, Malachi Nelson, it was a 5-star recruit. USC? Then Maddox Madsen beat him out at Boise State, and then Skylar Locklear, I know, started last year. I would imagine it's those two guys. A little bit more in depth. What do you know? I'm not going to say Malachi Nelson is the clear-cut favorite because of what happened last year and Maddox Madsen. Now he had Ashton Genty, but he played really. You feed off that. You played really well. I don't know if it's set in stone that he'd be the guy.
Yeah, that's the big question that everyone's got surrounding UTEP football is who's going to be the guy they throw under center come week 1 against Bronco Mendenhall in Utah State. But yeah, you mentioned him, Malachi, probably one of the more decorated recruits UTEP has ever pulled. 5-star recruit out of high school. I believe at one point he was ESPN's top recruit in the class of 2023, was in the same recruiting class as Arch Manning. And started his collegiate career out at USC. Unluckily for him, he had to sit behind Caleb Williams, who went on to be the number 1 overall draft pick. And I forget what draft, but obviously he's with the Bears right now. And then he goes to Boise State. He's competing for the starting spot, but then he ends up getting sat behind Maddox Madsen. And we all saw what Boise State did last year, making it to the CFP. And obviously Ashton Genty had a big role to do with that. But Malachi really hasn't had a legitimate chance to showcase his skills. And I think that's a big reason why he decided to come to UTEP. He's got a really good shot to lock down the QB1 spot here in El Paso. Now, Coach Scotty Walden, he's been really reserved about his quarterbacks and who he's going to throw out there in week 1, keeping his cards close to his chest. He won't give us names. He won't tell us a lot because, again, he wants to keep it close to his chest. But from what I've seen at practice, it looks like, at least at this point of fall camp, as we're less than 2 weeks out from Utah State, it looks like Malachi and Skylar Locklear are the two guys getting the most reps during the practice session. So I think a lot of people saw that it was going to be between Skylar Locklear and Malachi Nelson, but UTEP also had Shea Smith and Cade McConnell and Chad Warner in the mix to start at fall camp, but the odds of them starting weren't too great. So it looks like it's a 2-man race. Walden has not officially named a starter at this point of fall camp. He spoke with media today, and he's hoping to name one later this week. But you just never know with Walden and his quarterbacks. I think he's one coach that likes to keep the cards close to the chest and keep his opponents wondering. So I don't know if we'll get a starter this week. It might not be till 30 minutes prior to kickoff on August 30th that we find out who's going to start. But that's kind of the quarterback situation right now. And it's a good problem for Scotty Walden to have, that he's got two guys with valuable experience, and Malachi knowing his history, and Skyler his familiarity with Walden's system. So I don't think you can go wrong with any choice. But I think there's a lot of people want to see one quarterback in more than the other, at least in my opinion. I don't think you bring – this is just my opinion. I don't think you bring a guy of Malachi Nelson's history and caliber here at El Paso if you're not going to play him at least week one. That's just me, Ryan. That's just me.
No. I would agree with you on that one. And I think it was a big surprise when everybody saw him transfer. But I think it's, and again, I'm not, look, we're in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm not knocking anything. Like, he went from USC to Boise and then UTEP. Like, I think there might be a reason behind that, and I'm not diminishing UTEP. I think you see where I'm saying that. Maurice Westmoreland was like a stud last year at linebacker at edge or something. He transferred out to Tulane, correct?
Correct. From at last check, it was Tulane.
How do you? How do you replace that?
I don't know, but somehow Coach Walden and his staff did. I think so. On paper, they did. But yeah, I mean, Maurice Westmoreland was just one name of the many that UTEP kind of lost, either to the transfer portal or to graduation this offseason. Westmoreland was kind of the headliner, but they also lost guys like Corey Chapman and Bryden Thompson, and there's a lot more that I'm probably blanking out right now off the top of my head. But they did a really good job in all this fall camp. When we've talked to Coach Walden and we've checked in on their scrimmages and we've talked about them at practice, they've been really high on what they've got in the box at the defensive line position and especially at that linebacker room. So they've done really good recruiting. And again, from what we've heard, from what Coach Walden tells us and what the players tell us, the defensive line and linebacker rooms are looking pretty solid. And I feel like those are the keys to having a pretty good defense up front. But, just to give you a couple names off the top of my head, Derek Burns Jr., New Mexico State transfer, really didn't get a lot of playing time at New Mexico State last season. Now he's over here, and it looks like he's running with the ones and twos here at UTEP. So he's going to be a defensive end to kind of watch out for. And just going to that linebacker room, I got to look at a list because there's so many really quality names in that list. But the guy that sticks out the most is Joshua Rudolph, Indiana transfer. But the cool thing about him is he started his collegiate career at Austin Peay with Walden and his crew. So Walden knows what they're getting in Joshua Rudolph. And obviously after 2 great seasons at Austin Peay, he went to the transfer portal, went to Indiana, didn't get as much action as he thought he would while at Indiana last year. And so he got the chance to reunite with Walden here at UTEP. So Joshua Rudolph's been pegged as the leader of that linebacker room and one of the leaders of the defense because he knows what Walden wants out of the defensive side of the ball. And I spoke to Walden last week, and he said Joshua Rudolph is just like the guy. Like, he is our kind of guy. So I know he's one name that Walden's been high on, and I think one guy that's going to have an immediate impact on UTEP's defense this season. But you've also got Jaden Wilson. It might be a name you're familiar with, New Mexico transfer. He's going to spend his junior year here. So I know a lot of people here in El Paso are happy because he spent his high school career in El Paso, and he's a really good kid and really talented too. I can't wait to see how much more he develops. And then Stratton Schufelt, product out of Albuquerque, I believe Cleveland high school grad. He spent his true freshman year at UTEP last year and played a lot of quality snaps and got some really good experience. And now in year 2, he's also being seen as a leader of that defense, trying to contribute. So again, that linebacker room is probably the highlight of the defense, but their secondary is looking pretty good as well with Justin Content, Xavier Smith Jr., and Lance Russell Jr. So I think the defense might be the strong part of UTEP's game this year, but I mean, we'll have to wait and see how that all pans out.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you get. I mean, in this day and age, I guess I know how you do it, but like to hear that a UNM transfer. Now, granted, he's from El Paso, and then somebody from NMSU transfer over. That's pretty crazy to me. I got to ask you this. I watch it because it's regional, and I do pay attention to NMSU, and I kind of like UTEP. I started my career on College Football 25 at UTEP last year. I'm gonna piss a lot of people off by saying that. Yeah, because I like the white helmet with the pick. And then I took a job. I probably went to Miami, so I took a job and went elsewhere. I just wanted to start at the bottom. But it was fun to play with Devin Dampier last year on College Football 25. What do you make of that NMSU UTEP rivalry? And I probably am being cliche and ask that. I mean, does NMSU view that as a bigger rival, or is it UNM?
I think for sure. Again, this is my opinion, and this is from what I've just gathered during my time covering New Mexico State. I definitely think New Mexico State enjoys the rivalry with New Mexico a bit more. I mean, it's an in-state rivalry, a lot of history between those two sides. I want to quote Tony Sanchez from last season. And I don't want to do it because I don't know it verbatim, but to make it simple, Tony Sanchez sees the rivalry with New Mexico as a heated one, and just kind of like the epitome of a rivalry. And then the rivalry with UTEP is kind of like, the rivalry you have with maybe a sibling that you have. So it's still a rivalry, but I think there's definitely more history and maybe some more heat between the Rio Grande rivalry than there is the Battle of I-10. But still, it's both programs' biggest game of the year when you think about it. It's a short bus drive away, 40, 45 minutes from each campus, and it's El Paso versus Las Cruces. That's how people see it here. That's how people see it in Las Cruces, and it's just always a fun game. And the fact that they're not going to play it next year caught a lot of people off guard, but that's just one of the byproducts of conference realignment. So it's finally reached the Battle of I-10 rivalry, which is crazy to think about. But both sides are, at least from my knowledge, I last checked, both sides are working to bring the Battle of I-10 rivalry game back for 2027, but nothing official yet. But it's a rivalry people, at least here in El Paso, care about as well. But yeah.
That's wild.
Don't know if I answered the question, but
no, you did. You did. I didn't know they were playing next year because I thought you were going to say it was UTEP just because of the proximity. So, I mean, I see it. Yeah, as much as I despise it, I see everything on Twitter. What I would like to do is bring this up because I'm trying to get you. I appreciate your time tonight. Mm-hmm. This schedule, man, and I don't know. I meant to look it up really quick there. They're at a name, at Utah State, and then I don't even know who the hell this is. I need to look it up. But I mean, that Conference USA slate. I mean, what are you? I'm going to be cliche here again. I mean, what are your predictions? With that 3-9, and then like you said, 14 points away from 6-6.
Man, I don't know. This is the question I'm still like living with every night because I'm just like, all right, do they win this game? Do they lose this game? So I don't want to give you a prediction now overall. But I will say, I think the ceiling for UTEP this season, I think they go bowling, Ryan. I think they can do it. I don't know what games they might win, but I think bowling is going to be the ceiling here. And I've seen stuff online where people are seeing that UTEP's going to put together a 8 or 10 win season, and I'm a little hesitant about that, just in my opinion. But I think UTEP has the chance to go bowling this season, and that would be humongous in year 2 of the Walden era in El Paso. But just looking at the schedule, Utah State, I mean, don't know how that's going to play out. Broncos first year at Utah State.
He's a popular name around here.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know how you guys feel about Mr. Mendenhall, but that which brings me back to just my point. Like I can't believe everything that happened in New Mexico that off season, from Bronco to Patino. Like what's kind of what are people? I don't want to interview you, but what are people feeling now? Well,
we had by the way, I pointed my mouse over this 4th team on the top right, thinking everybody could see that. That's UL Monroe, and then that's UT Martin. So there you go. That just very quickly. I mean, we just had Kurt Roth on, and he's a Long Island guy. He's funny, but he went to college at UNM, and he's a lot of. I mean, he built the team the last 2 years, that made back-to-back NCAA tournaments. I mean, there was a lot of some people. I'm trying to look at everything objectively, despite I'm a UNM alumni. I wouldn't, I for a long time, and I'm not answering your question. A coach that was here from 2009 to 2011 and got fired. Like, I wanted to see the program lose. So, it's I don't know. There was real dismay, and then the fact that you had a new AD having to hire a football coach that was only a new football coach to replace the football coach that was only here for a year. I mean, I think there was a lot of dismay, but now that you are set in stone, and now that despite the fact that you have to go to Michigan, and I know UTEP has to go to Texas, that you're a week away from that, and there's a lot of optimism. I calls it as I sees it, as I jokingly say on the show. I'm excited for the enthusiasm and the youth there, and the ADs. I'm older than the AD by like a year and a half. It blows my mind. And I really regret my parents wasting money on elementary, middle school, and high school, private school education for me to go to UNM, even though I grew up here and grew up going to football games. I'm not answering the question. I think there's a lot more positivity here now, and you heard probably the tail end of it than there was, I think, in January, February, March. But between the football hire and the Patino leaving, you beat a Big East team in the first round of the tournament. So there's some positivity there, and you were up 10 on Michigan State and blew that lead. So there's a lot of positivity there. It's very weird. And I don't want to keep you any longer, but I have a quick question for you.
You're good. So I got time. Go ahead.
No, this is, I mean, if you're rambling, I'm never going to cut you off. I wanted to ask, because you do cover New Mexico State. I mean, what do you think? And we always have Nick Coppola on. I'm not trying to ever steal his thunder, but I mean, if you've been around that program, what goes into year 2 of Tony Sanchez? Logan Fife, Tyler Martinez is from Volcano Vista up here in Albuquerque. I mean, what is your, I know you've covered it a little bit. What have you seen up in Las Cruces?
Yeah, Nick's the man, but we dip our toes in New Mexico State as well too. I think that's one of the hard things about my job is, like, I got to post UTEP and New Mexico State content. And if there's more UTEP than New Mexico State, people are like, oh, what's going on? But New Mexico State's a fun program to watch, man. I mean, one of my favorite things I've ever covered is seeing Jerry Kill turn that NMSU program around like that. 7-6 the first year, and then you go and put together a 10-win season. You play for a COC title, and so that was just one of the coolest things I've ever covered. But Tony Sanchez entering year 2 here at Las Cruces, and I will say Tony Sanchez feels a lot better about his quarterbacks this year. Last year, man, I just really think the quarterback is what completely destroyed New Mexico State last season. Logan Fife, they're really high on him, and Logan is one of the more experienced guys in college football. So I feel like he's going to bring a lot more experience. And I think he's just going to be the leader of that Aggies offense. And so I know Sanchez is really happy to have Logan Fife in town. And the wide receiver room, that's another unit that Tony Sanchez said they needed to improve on in this season. And I think they have. TK King is just one name that stands out to me right now. Spent some time at Texas Tech and Wyoming. And he had some good, solid, productive seasons. But I feel like this season at New Mexico State, it's going to be an even, bigger breakout year for him as he looks to kind of make his name in college football. So TK King, watch out for him. But then you've got 2 of New Mexico State's top receivers returning for this year, and PJ Johnson III and TJ Pride. TJ Pride, very impressive. He was a freshman last year, which you wouldn't believe looking at his numbers, because he played a lot of games and collected a lot of yards, and he's back for his sophomore season. So I know he's looking to even have an even bigger season in 2025. And defensively, I'm not too sure how they're going to shake out. New Mexico State lost a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball, with guys like Buda Paletti and again, I'm blanking out, but I know they lost a lot of talent on that side of the ball. So I'm not sure, but I do think NMSU will be able to top their 3-9 season in 2025. So I can't wait for the Battle of I-10 this year. I will say that, and then hopefully return sooner rather than later. But New Mexico State, it looks like they're going to have a better year as well. But again, this is all just chat until the season kicks off. So we'll have to wait and see, but that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah, until UNM has to go to Ann Arbor and UTEP has to go to UT Austin.
Yeah. By the way, UTEP's never played. Assuming Texas gets to week 3 with that number 1 ranking by their side still, UTEP has never played the number 1 team in the nation ever in their program history. So that would be a pretty cool game for Scotty Walden and the Miners to go into. After, I don't know how they'd feel, but Texas is stacked, man. So we'll see. But yeah, tough schedule for UTEP and UNM. From what
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I was originally going to Ann Arbor and I canceled my flight. We're going to work on things here. Yeah, no, I'm not going. It's I was going to go there. I literally can't. My buddy works for the Detroit Free Press, and I was going to stay with him. And then I'm a big. I found these shirts on MLB Shop, and I bought like all of the teams just because I like them. And plus, the Blue Jays are good now. Anyway, they won me money tonight. But I'm a diehard Mets fan, so a lot of people really give me shit on this show, and they're playing the Tigers on Labor Day, and I was going to do everything, and I had a hotel room in downtown Detroit, and I was talking to my business partner, and we're expanding doing this, and I'm like, I hate to say this, I think if there was any inclination that they might, I'm going to get in a lot of trouble for this, if there was any inclination that they might be competitive in that game, it's a different story. I just don't see it going that way. And then I was going to I was going to be at Pasadena. I was going to be at Ann Arbor. I was going to be at the Big House this year. I was going to be at the Rose Bowl. And then I'm still going to Boise, and I've been there before. And then I'll be at Allegiant Stadium because UNM plays UNLV in Vegas. So that could have been and then they're at Air Force. So that could have been my 6 away games this year. And I'm going to cover the thing. We're going to do a pregame show. So there's your answer. I don't want to keep you, but that's why I'm not going. That's why I'm not going. But man, I appreciate you tonight coming out of the bullpen or pinch hitting last second, man, as the second time. And I might check in with you during the season just to see how UTEP's doing, because you are joining the Mountain West next year.
That is true. Yeah, I cannot wait for that first UNM UTEP game in 26. Don't know if it's, again, I don't know if it's going to be in El Paso, if it's going to be in Albuquerque, but if it's in El Paso, Ryan, you got to be here.
Oh, no.
Hold you accountable. All right.
No. We have to be in Cruces for that New Mexico UNM's. I did it there. Yeah, and I'm a UNM alumni. UNM NMSU basketball game this year, and I was literally telling my co-host and my business partner, I was like, if that game is at the Sun Bowl, and I'm not bullshitting you, I want to go to the Sun Bowl. It's on my list, and the Big House isn't, so I'm going to piss off Michigan fans. I was like, I wish it was an SEC team or in Columbus, and I feel like a jackass saying that, but he is the sports director at KTSM News in El Paso. Last minute, thank you so much, Sam Guzman. Thank you so much, man.
Always a pleasure, Ryan. We'll see you at the Sun Bowl soon, man.
Sounds good. Have a good one, and I hope I haven't interfered too much in your show tonight. Thanks a lot, man.
Adios.
All right, that was Sam Guzman from KTSM. I'm going to take a quick commercial break and wrap this mother up. See how it's not too many comments tonight. Again, no bridge troll, no bridge troll tonight. Don't know what I'm doing. I'm Ryan Smorey. This is the Pit Press Live.
The bell is ringing for the Back to School Bash at Capital Ford in Santa Fe. Don't be late to add up big factory incentives combined with final dealer subtractions on current inventory. Get back to school savings in a new 25 Ford F-150 STX. Buy for $699 a month plus 4.9% APR financing for 72 months. Or a new 25 Ford Bronco Sport. Lease for just $399 a month. It all adds up to a great time to buy during the Back to School Bash at Capital Ford in Santa Fe.
And my light died. Fantastic. All right. Well, that's a sign to wrap up the show. Working on a budget here. Thanks to Sam Guzman and KTSM, Kurt Roth, 505 Sports Venture Foundation, and Matt Vilareal. Goodness, I almost forgot his name. The new creative strategy, assistant AD, creative services, and digital strategy for UNM athletics or for Lobo basketball. And he was with Gonzaga at that Jalen Suggs shot. I wonder, you know what? Just because everybody's still on. Hang tight. Well, I misspelled it there. Jalen Jugs. Oh, man. I remember I was at Green Jeans. I remember where I was when this happened. And you get to see what I watch.
No. Pulled down by Singleton. The look he wanted. Absolutely. Good job screening out again. Bruins with a shot to tie it or win it. With 12 seconds. Guzman. Again with the ball in his hands. In the paint. Floater. Short. Got it back. Ties it with 3. Gonzaga has time to do something. Suggs for the win. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Unbelievable.
That is completely awesome. I love it. Saw that on my phone live. Hopefully we didn't get copyright for there, but I wanted to watch that and comment on it because, man, that was awesome. To the comments tonight, that was a 2001 Final Four. UCLA was 11 seed. They went on that run. Keno, how's it going, man? Kurt, there's always a possibility that coaches can get poached at any time in today's sports. I'm sorry I didn't ask that question. I try not to have I think with Kurt, it's going to be a little bit different. We're hoping to have him. We're going to be having him on a lot more. And we'll announce that. John Romero, come on, Kurt. The Bradbury Kool-Aid is fool's gold. Sam, would you know who is the replacement for Jack Nixon at MSU? Have they announced that? New Mexico State needs to be in the Mountain West. I agree. I don't know if it worked, but I tagged you in the Pavia. Oh, Ronnie, I forgot about that. Hang tight. Hang tight. We're going to watch it live. I guess it's not on YouTube. Oh, that would be why, because I didn't type in Diego Pavia. No. All right, now I'm gonna have to find it later. I don't really Pavia Mafia. Okay. Oh boy. We're going to watch this together, and I'm going to lose all of my audience. All right. This is how I really feel like a YouTuber. All right, here we go.
Go be you. Like, that's all they told me. It was just go be you. Everything will just handle itself. Just be you. And so ever since then, I was just like, I'm going to play the way I want to play.
Yo me enamoré del juego, le doy gracias a Dios por todo lo que yo tengo. Y ven que yo ya voy para arriba, sin olvidar a mi madre, padre, toda la familia. Son las 5 letras de Bandy que voy a aportar, que no ven que Fabio Mafia siempre va a brillar. Apenas son 23, ya me llegan los de a 100. Me empiezo yo de repente con champaña, no descuido mi deber. From the 505 to the world, baby. Bendy. Y pura Fabia Mafia con Barry. Yo sigo siendo el mismo. Pensaron que era suerte, pero era el destino. Ven, mira lo recorrido. Me miran en entrevistas después del partido. Por la ciudad del peligro, el barrio me ha bendecido. El número 2 lo porto, negro el uniforme, de oro es el río. A la orden voy a andar, siempre hay ganas de jugar. Disfruto de los momentos porque el sufrimiento lo dejé atrás. Y puro rancho centenario, su poquita ahí. ¡Vámonos! Slap that shit, my boy.
All right. Well, I liked it. Really liked it, actually. Yeah, I was dancing. Oh, my buddy John. My buddy John commented. Hold on. What up with the Youth Wednesday, Eve? It's a great one here in Korea. Shout out to Diego Pavia, too. My buddy John's a JAG. He's stationed in Seoul, and he's an NMSU alumni. I don't know if, John, if you saw that. I've talked a lot of shit about that kid, and I really like that. I think he's just, as I've said multiple times on this show, he took a piss in his neighbor's house, essentially, and then, God this, God that. I can't fault him, man. I think there's and I think this is the consensus on him, not my opinion, just what I've heard, is that, he's a gamer, man. And again, you could go back and find everything that I've said. I've talked a lot of shit, just because I think, the religious thing, and I won't delve into that much. But I like that, man. I mean, it's not probably what you think of when you think of Nashville. But man, I did like it. I mean, it represents New Mexico. He was at St. Pius, and I think he was asked to leave. He told John Fight, yeah, I know he did. Could you imagine if Danny offered him, though, instead of Kill? Well, the grumblings around here and what I've heard is that Danny did not like his attitude and personality. Danny was looking for high character guys. So take that with what you will. Don't kill the messenger on that. I thought he was kind of a fluke in 2022 or 2023, and then 2024. Like I said, that team was a moneymaker for me. They covered the spread a lot. And I've always told the story, that game where they won at the end on a defensive play and they had to take a knee. There was still time, and Jerry Kill got in that defensive back's face and was mother effing him. That was fantastic. Joe the Jeweler, I see. Yeah, dude, I loved it. I honestly liked it. I try to tell you guys all the time that I calls it as I sees it. That was pretty cool. He's made a lot. I think he's done a damn fine job marketing. I will say that. By the way, ESPN had an article about him by Ryan. Hey, Ryan McGee. I like Ryan McGee, Marty McGee on Saturday mornings. He's a Southern guy. He's a Southern fellow. Came out this morning. I recommend checking it out. Let me see if I can share my screen again. So if you're looking for that on ESPN by Ryan McGee, check that out. I'm going to give it a read. I don't go to ESPN much, so I'm an athletic guy, and then CBS Sports, and then I go to Action Network all day, every day. Gotta keep track of my bets. What else was I going to say? I just want to do this very quickly. Here is Vanderbilt's schedule, and it's a doozy. Charleston Southern at Va Tech. That's a game they won last year. At South Carolina, Georgia State. Ooh, they get Utah State. At Alabama. You have to know Kalen DeBoer in Alabama at that game scheduled. Then they get LSU and Missouri at home. At Texas, Kentucky, and then they close out this year at Tennessee. I thought that schedule was a lot tougher. But, Clark Lee, I don't know, man. He's revitalized that program. And he played there. So that's home to him. I'm going to have a close eye on that on Vanderbilt. I'm really intrigued this year because I've had a big mouth about Diego Pavia. Talk to me come, end of October, see where they're at Halloween. I was listening to Josh Pate. By the way, big college football fan like I am. Check out Josh Pate. Josh Pate's college football show. I like Joe Klatt. And, if you're sick and tired of what's on ESPN, I think Fox Sports, I will say this, and I'm all over the place, but the big noon kickoff thing, that Texas-Ohio State game should be at night under the lights in Columbus. That's a big deal. But if you're looking for more college football content that's quality, Josh Pate, Pate State Freights, Pate State University. Josh Pate's college football show. Recommend that. I don't know. He had like a real estate background. He's based in Nashville. I like his show. I think he always makes fun of himself, kind of like I do. And then Joe Klatt. I listen to Joe Klatt here and there. And then, week 0 is Saturday. So, how many wins does he need this season for you to say, dang, maybe he's the truth? I still don't like him if he goes undefeated, LOL. I'm not trying to flip-flop. I mean, like I said, Ronnie, at Lobo Ronnie, I talked a lot of trash about him. But everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, like Mike Tyson said. Now he's been successful. And that's why they play the games. If they're rolling, you got to go into Tuscaloosa and, go into Austin, which, still is Big 12 territory for me. Don't have any guests lined up for Thursday night. Tonight's Tuesday for Thursday. We'll figure that out. I'll see if Ben Wysong's available. We have not had him on, and it's time to get Uncle Ben back on because I talked to Evan the other day. Then we had Luke on. So Uncle Ben, probably George Scott. Maybe I'll bug Ian Clark. Dontrell Moore out at practice at the scrimmage on Friday. By the way, did anybody go to the scrimmage? And if you did, your thoughts. I think the offense is, except for that first drive, Jack Lane did look good. But I think they're tired of playing with themselves. I know next week Sean Ryder will join us. I've efforted Eric G, former host here in town, radio host. He's in Fayetteville, Arkansas now. I know he was in Tulsa, but he's talking. He was posting a lot of stuff on the Arkansas Razorbacks on his Twitter page. So there's that. And Ronnie, I'm rereading your comment. I don't forget things. Well, I mean, I do, but for most things, and I know listeners won't forget what I've said about Diego Pavia, but hey, I like that music video, man. I'm all about it. What else? Yeah, we're hoping to do a big show next week. And it's looking like, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for announcing this. We will have a watch party for the Michigan game. I was originally going to go to Ann Arbor. I was originally going to go to Pasadena. That's kaput. I'm sticking here. I'm staying home. We will be at Rio Bravo on August 30th. That game kicks off at 5:30. We'll have more on that, but we're doing, look to do a watch party there. And probably more of those to come. I'm looking to probably travel with the team for Mountain West Conference play. And we'll see how we'll see where the season goes. That was originally my plan. I had everything booked and I canceled to stick around in Albuquerque. So that's that. Plus I don't like to fly, but there's more reasons why I'm staying around. For those listeners that I rub the wrong way, you ever want to make fun of me? Get me on an airplane. I'm flying to New Jersey in November, and I was looking at going to Hawaii for my birthday. I don't know how I'm going to do a trans-Pacific. Well, I don't know if that's really trans-Pacific, but I don't know how I'm going to fly from the West Coast to Hawaii. All right, we'll keep you posted on upcoming shows. I'm running out of steam. I always, and I don't say this enough, I always appreciate the listeners and viewers and people that check out our site. There'll be more coverage up there. Greg Archuleta is writing for us. I'm going to throw out a name there. Mark Smith might be editing for us and helping us out. Those two names are mentors of mine from the Journal. So throwing that out there. Much appreciation to Matt Vilareal. Again, the new associate AD for creative. I don't have golobos.com up anymore. Assistant AD for, I don't want to do him justice. I got to do him justice. Plus, keep a lookout for him and any of the creative stuff, the video stuff on golobos.com. Assistant AD for creative services and digital strategy for Lobo basketball. We also need to get his boss on. We need to get Casey Byers on. So we'll effort that. Look for War Pigs to play when the team runs out on the field. I lobbied Lobo. They need music to hype up the crowd like all the other teams do. Okay. I've been to Vatech. I've never seen a game there. That is maybe the best intro, or when the team takes the field. Thanks to Matt Vilareal. Thanks to Kurt Roth. Thanks to Sam Guzman. For Eric Moulton, Ed Nunez, Nick Nunez, Jeff Gordon, Jacob Neff, and Neff will be back to talk some betting. John Romero. I hope everybody has a great Tuesday. Don't do anything that I would do. We'll talk to you on Thursday.